I'm very pleased to have my third guest join us, Jeff Cannizzo, the president of the New York Breeders, also a NYRA board member. So I have to suck up to you because you're a NYRA board member.
That's good.
Jeff Cannizzo, let's give him a big hand. Welcome to At the Post Live. How are you, Jeff?
Well, it's going to be
talk right into the mic.
It's going to be very difficult to follow Michael Blowen, possibly the best storyteller in all of racing,
the greatest, and a great man too.
Possibly the most articulate horseman I think I've ever heard speak with Jonathan.
It's not that hard.
Well, you know, I'll fit somewhere in the middle, right? And, you know, we'll give it a few.
So Jeff, tell us. Talk about the specifics of your job with the New York Breeders. Talk right into that mic. Let the mic be your friend. Don't be afraid of it.
I am not afraid of this mic. I run the New York Breeders Association, which is a membership group here in the state of New York, and we represent all the breeders here in the state. We serve two purposes. We're an advocacy group, so we advocate for breeders in Albany via the legislature and rules and regs. And we're a marketing group, so we work to promote breeding here in the state of New York.
And you've got to go to Albany and deal with people in the state and things like that?
I deal with people in the state, and it's not something that I would wish upon anybody else in this room.
but keep that between us.
Right. Most people that don't know the front end of a horse from the back end of the horse, so you're trying to explain actually how all of this works. It's just really complicated. And you have to reiterate it over and over and over.
But the economic impacts, obviously, of what you're doing with the breeders and the thoroughbreds as far as jobs and dollars, I mean, this is something you must be well acquainted with.
It's big business here for the state of New York. So the equine industry is one of very few industries that actually has economic activity in every single county in the state of New York. So there's 62 counties. Including Manhattan, that obviously has horses as well. So it's big business. It's actually, if you collected all of the horse population and all of the activity and dollars that flow through it, it's a $5.2 billion industry for the state. So
it's amazing.
It's really big. It's why we have a loud voice. There's 33,000 people that are employed by horses here in the state, and
more than people live in Saratoga.
It is. It's a really good thing. It's really big, and that's why we're here.
How many horse farms are there in the state of New York in total?
There's about 300 thoroughbred farms,
amazing,
which has grown significantly over the years. I came here 10 years ago with no gray hair. And now I have a little bit of gray hair, and there's quite a few more farms. But
more farms than gray hairs.
More farms than gray hair.
That's
a few
good.
more, equivalent. But anyways, it's a growing business, and it's really important for the state.
How did you get involved with doing this? I've known you for years, but how did you get involved with working with the New York Breeders?
It was about 11 years ago. I grew up in the Finger Lakes area. My great-grandfather was an owner. My grandfather was an owner. My father's a trainer. My brother is a trainer.
Your brother's the greatest trainer in the history of horse racing.
He is by far, hands down.
He's never run a horse that shouldn't win.
Every one of them. Trust me.
He's the most confident man
My
I've ever
NYRA Bets
met.
account is negative due to his influence. But anyways, I grew up around Finger Lakes Racetrack, and when I was probably 13 or 14, and my father realized I wasn't going to be a jockey due to weight constraints, I had to get a real career. I worked in technology, and 11 years ago, I found my way here. And you actually touched on it a little while ago. You know, when you work and do things that you love, it's really not work. And that's what I wanted to do, and here we are today.
Right. I think you have an opportunity to help the game in any way, and hopefully some of us are doing that occasionally. It's an honor to be able to do that.
No, it is. I mean, this is a sport that touches so many people. And you come to Saratoga, and where can you come into a bar or restaurant scene where every single person in here can talk about a horse today, what it meant to them, how important it was, analyze the race. I mean, it's really unique, and it's a great sport, and we need to do more to
No, I agree.
For
It's
sure.
the magic of Saratoga and the people. It's the people that make it great and an opportunity. So the sale Saturday and Sunday, the New York Bred sale at the pavilion, you looking forward to it?
It's my busy week. There's 325 horses roughly that'll sell as yearlings this weekend.
Wow.
In our state bred sale, that's basically 18% of our foal crop, and it's the premier 18%. So, it's called preferred for a reason. It's the best New York breds that we offer. That sales average price is one of the greatest regional sales, if it is the greatest regional sales for actual figures that come out of it, and performers that we've had. Mind Your Biscuits came out of that sale. It's a really big deal, and it's become a prominent sale that's recognized around the world.
How many are there new sires this year that are being represented?
So that's the great thing about New York is that I call it we're open for business. And you have to be a New York bred. The actual mare has to follow a residency rule, meaning she has to stay so many months or days here throughout the course of the year, have a foal here, and based on conception, come or go. And once you meet those requirements, you can leave every single year, or you can stay every year. And it's based on how you want to perform or do business.
Which is how a horse like Funny Side, who was Destroyed Humor, could be a New York bred.
Right, and because of that fact, you have our bloodlines, or our actual horses that are stallion power is greatly improved over literally the last several decades. So you're seeing that in results of the racetrack, and you're seeing that in their sales results. So the pedigrees speak for themselves.
There's a lot more that I want to talk to you about, and you're going to talk a little bit more about the importance of the New York program with our racing at NYRA and throughout, but we got to take a quick break, but we have more time for you, a few minutes back, so stay with us. Welcome back to At the Post Live, and Jeff Cannizzo, president of the New York Breeders Association, is still with us here, and I want to talk a bit about the program. First of all, I want to talk a little about the farms around Saratoga. There's farms out around Saratoga. I know the McMahons are out by Saratoga Lake. I've been there. One of my favorite horses is staying there, Central Banker. How many of their farms are just in the vicinity, a few miles away from where we are now?
Oh, several dozen. There's the horse corridor, we call it, in New York, that essentially runs from about 30 miles or so north of Saratoga all the way down through the Hudson region. And the mass populace of mares are here in Saratoga County, which, there's dozens upon dozens of smaller boarding operations, which expand to larger McMahon-style operations. And it's, if you want to go see some farms, I suggest you definitely, there's many in Saratoga that people would be very happy to go see.
Love the willow trees by the McMahon's farm. I love the drive up there.
There is, that Funny Side sign is really neat.
I'm sure it'll be there for a long, long time. He was born there, right? Or
he was born there. He was born there. He was bred by Windstar, foaled at McMahon's, and 2003. He, it's funny. In 2003, when Funny Side won the Derby, he was this anomaly. He was
not anymore.
He was the New York bred that ran on a Saturday in a Grade 1, and then we fast forward to a Whitney a week ago, and you got two favorites, 1-2, and the Whitney that by the way, happened to be New York bred. So here we are.
It's a long way from Fiorito. I'm sure some of you remember Fiorito beating Fit to Fight in the 1981 Whitney, right?
Breaks through the gate.
Right.
Breaks through
Les
the gate.
Hewlett was riding him, I think, right?
That's right. Back from my my home days. But Les Hewlett breaks through the gate, wins the Whitney.
Beats Rokeby.
In 1981.
Commentator, of course, winning 2 Whitneys.
2005 and 2008. Commentator, Michael Blowen. And, the list goes on and on. But the point is today, New York bred horses run every single Saturday around the world in graded company, group company, and it's evolved and changed so much. And the importance that what we mean to NYRA's everyday racing is dramatic. NYRA, wouldn't have the racing that we have if it wasn't for our state bred program.
I agree, and I think it irks me as a New Yorker and a racing fan when people knock the state breds. Obviously, there's some state breds that are pretty slow, and there's some races that aren't good. There's plenty of races and horses from other states that aren't very fast either. How many races a year in NYRA are New York bred races?
So NYRA runs roughly about 600, a little more than 600 races that are state bred races throughout the course of the year. 46% of NYRA starts, so think about this, 46% of all NYRA starts, New York bred.
Which means they're big fields, which is what we want.
So New York bred field size at Saratoga a year ago was 0.8 0.8 times what an open company race was. And it's for a reason. It's based on the number of New York breds we have here, and it's based on the field size that they're putting on and the show we're putting on. And that's the value of having a New York bred. So we talk. Even if Jonathan was still here, owners today and horsemen, you're leaving money off the table by not actually having a New York bred in your stable, because the opportunities for them here in New York State, really globally, but here in New York State specifically, it's dramatic. There's over $200,000 of 3 straight conditions right off the bat.
And then you still have your conditions against open horses after that.
$8.5 million in stakes money that NYRA distributes annually. Over 50 different stakes, state-bred stakes. It goes on and on. Last year, 33%, $9 million out of the $41 million of purse money at Saratoga was won by New York bred horses.
And not all just in state-bred races.
That's right.
And it's interesting talking about it in the state-breds. I mean, look at the Beverly D at Arlington this weekend. 4-star Crook, who will be one of the favorites, maybe the second or third choice in there, is a state-bred.
That's right. I mean, literally, it's tough. There was a time where on weekends you didn't see the state-bred horses running across the country, and again in graded races or in stakes races in general. And now it's very difficult to find a race where we don't actually have one starting.
Right, and in this weekend's sale, I mean, the truth is even some of the biggest buyers in the game stay out of the sale, the fast ticket sale on Monday and Tuesday, because it's so expensive. And it's not just the dollar amounts, it's the relative value of them. And a lot of those people will be participating in the sale this weekend. You hope, at least. But they will be.
I definitely believe so, and it's changed. On Monday and Tuesday night is the open and the select sale of one of the most boutique, if not most boutique yearling sales that exist in the country. And state-bred horses, New York breds, there was 8 that sold for an average of $350,000, of which 1 sold for $1 million, which is the highest price New York bred to ever sell as a yearling.
Nice. Jeff, we got to go. Thank you so much for joining us. Jeff Cannizzo, New York State Breeders. Stay with us.